Hey, how's it going? I have cards and I have something that I would like to read to you. But first, please take a look at my signs. And thank you for that. I also want to throw you all over the place. You're mine. Which way is up? Here we go. Oh my. So anyway, yeah. Let me just read the piece, because then I'll spend less time talking. Oops. So it's called Realizing My Phenomenon. Phenomenon. Okay. Synchronicities. I replied. Oh, I didn't write that right. Come on. I'm doing this on the fly editing. I could have just continued, but I'm also gonna upload it to my WordPress and might as well correct it now, or else I will do it in the middle of there. So anyway, I replied, not reply. I needed the past tense there. Okay. I replied to a post saying Trump will not attend his son's wedding. My reply was, it probably hurts to walk, and you may fear for his safety. I was cognizant of the possible obvious inference people could make from that latter portion of the sentence. And it is what I meant. Only from a place of defensiveness, because I didn't want to point out an obvious probability. Like that he could be in constant danger of attempts upon his life. Should he leave the White House, I wouldn't have wanted any 86 trouble. 86. So, I'm gonna, for a moment, depart from the script here and just say that is, like, that's situation normal all day, every day when you're the president. There are people, not saying they're right or sane, that will have some sort of grievance or tell themselves it's a good idea to go and try to harm that president. So I don't think I'm saying anything revolutionary there. Alright, I'm gonna continue. Where is it? Oh, here we go. I don't buy his ignorance of the definition of 86, by the way. He lived, or rather, he's lived in a time when it would have been in common use, the term 86. The idea that he didn't know its meaning is absurd. That he'd make up a story about it is not. Anywho, I made the remark knowing presidents rack up more attempts than the average bear on top of starting wars. 2 ways to piss people off who tend to retaliate. Or feel, whoa, hold on a second, I'm not sure what I wrote here. 2 2 ways to piss off people who tend to retaliate or feel and be aggrieved. Okay, I see what's the problem there. I wrote the wrong letter in one of those words. It was very confusing. Okay, I feel like I'm really far away. I kind of want to keep that. Let me see if I can find my place again. Right. So yeah, the idea that he didn't know its meaning is absurd. That he'd make up a story about it is not. Anywho, I made the remark knowing presidents rack up more attempts. I totally already read this, but here, I'll just keep going, than the average bear. Oh my god. On top of starting 2 wars, 2 ways to piss off people who tend to retaliate or feel and be aggrieved. That's what that would be like, total like bait for those people, those conditions that I mentioned. So anyway, okay, here we go. No more. That's it. To be clear. So now that I totally muddied the waters, what are we still? What were we talking about? We're talking about like crazy people that would try to go after a president. Like, that's just insane. You know, there's so many ways to find you and dissect you once you do something like that, and it's like, who's been successful? It's been a long time since there was a success at that, and I would think that that would be a deterrence, but no, I guess not. Anyway, wandered off script again. Here we go. Where am I? Oh, yeah, right. So what I was saying, I was trying to catch up on the sentence there. So yeah, that's all I was saying. Nothing more, no more. To be clear, you know, it wasn't like meant to be any kind of anything but descriptive words. There was no, you know, threatening tone. That was not my intention. If somebody thought that, if wants to think that's what it is, let me correct you. That is not my intention. Let's see. I was surprised to see news this morning, the next day after what I just was saying, that there had been, this morning, by the way, I was surprised to learn that there had been another one made. Another attempt on the guy I was just talking about. It's kind of, you know, I got my point. I wasn't questioning it, but for the viewer, it kind of like, let me just finish reading. Okay. I'm every day learning to inventory how I'm feeling in the moment when something I said was prophetic. It's my new favorite thing. Honing the ability to fine-tune my focus. To see something that felt random and involuntary as a tool. I am hardwired with to master. Okay, the cadence got all messed up there. To see something that felt random and involuntary as a tool, I am hardwired with to master. Like, that's how I'm looking at this new activity, this new focus that I have. I mean, whoa. Take a breath. See, that doesn't make sense when I'm all interrupting every sentence, which I'm doing again, but I will be posting it if you're interested in reading it on WordPress after I post this video. I will put a link in the description box. Uh, take a breath. I need to take one. Okay. Another time earlier in life, I was visiting a former, or maybe current at the time, band member. And we're listening to records in the living room, and he starts telling me how his albums are gradually going missing. And at that time, it was not uncommon for certain items to go missing like they always do, but there was an opiate outbreak at this time, so there was like a upgrade of like thefts, stuff disappearing when everybody that had been where your stuff was were people you knew, but you also kind of knew who the heroin addicts were, so you had, you didn't have to be a Sherlock Holmes to figure out who was appropriating your stuff. Things like that come in waves, and I'm again off script, but I want to interject again and say that if you're like a musician or hang around the music scene, or you've learned about those two things at all in your life, you may have picked up on the fact that there's a lot of drug taking activity. So that comes along with all this other stuff, like your strung out friend being around and then something valuable going missing suddenly. Sometimes you can recover your property, sometimes you can't. Of course, the cat wants me to let him out. Hold on, I'll be right back. Okay, it's always easier to concentrate when my little precious gargoyle is not sitting off camera staring at me. Okay, having a little trouble getting situated properly. Give me a moment. Alright, let me pick up where I left off. I'm just going to start I'm going to start over. Not from the beginning. Another time, okay, right, so I was talking about the whole opiate outbreak. I'm not going to start completely over. Hopefully you remember what I was saying about that. And so, in what exact context... Oh, sorry, wrong place. It was not uncommon for certain items to go missing. Always, really, but there was an opiate outbreak, and so... in what exact context, but at some point, I said, oh, I see. So, in what context, I don't remember, I should write that. I don't recall. In some context, I don't recall. But at some point, I said, unaware of what was going to happen, after I said it. Oh, okay. Oh my, I'm so sorry it's disjointed. There was an opiate outbreak, and so in what exact context, I don't recall, but at some point I said, unaware of what was going to happen. After I said it, I said, that's what you get, or no. Oh, okay. I said, that's what you get, or you shouldn't let junkies sleep in your closet. So I think I was going to say, that's what you get for letting junkies sleep in your closet, but I don't think I would have said it that way, because that would have just been like, you're stupid. Like, I would not have said that to them that way. So I'm pretty sure it was, you shouldn't let junkies sleep in your closet. And then the closet door to my right and my friend's left opened, and an obviously freshly awoken guy, whose face I knew to be that of a heroin addict was there. The friend sheepishly explained they were helping the guy out. And I'm sitting there thinking, OMG, they had a junkie in the closet that did turn out to be the thief. And he did turn out to be the thief. By the way, that was in the 80s. And it's just now that I'm cataloging it, because the totality would indicate that I knew what was coming. Like the totality of that kind of thing happening, where I say something like, blah, 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 junkie in the closet, and then poof, the door opens and there's a junkie in the damn closet. I need to remember in the moment to note what sensation, if any, I feel, to tell the difference between what's average and phenomenon. To tell the difference between what's average and what's phenomena. It's phenomena. I have to remember that for the title and put an A on there. So, okay, I guess that's as far as I got. I don't know if that last bit makes sense, but what I was saying is that kind of thing, like, yesterday I just kind of wasn't at all thinking, like, you know, this is going to happen because I said it. Because remember all that stuff about there just being automatic threats when you're a president, and they were just sort of, like, exacerbated by this Iran war stuff. So again, just describing the reality that happens to be happening. Oh, thank you. But I did not know now that there was going to be a shooting the next day. Like, I didn't know that yesterday. I thought it was just regular, obvious stuff. And then the same thing with the thing that happened in the 80s with the guy in the closet, like, but the thing is, I don't remember, and I didn't think to, like, clock it at the time. I'm going forward now, but between yesterday and the other thing in the 80s, this happened a bunch of times, and I just never knew before I was saying something that would turn out to be prophetic. I had no idea. I did not know it was coming. I didn't say it knowing, like, a little secret in my mind, like, oh, this is gonna happen. No, like, whatever that feeling is beforehand, I haven't detected it, but I wasn't looking. So I'm looking now. That was kind of the point of what I was saying there at the end. But the other part about that was, we are all probably feeling more like, if you're inclined to, and if you care about stuff like what I was just talking about, and like mediumship and things like that, and sharpening those skills, then what I was saying, I hope, is of interest, because I feel like going forward, if you're on the same page with me, which is we're transitioning from third density to fifth density, and we're in the fourth density middle part, I guess. And so in order to sort of navigate the times and also, like, just make the best of it, like, get the most out of it for yourself, but not in the capitalist way. Like, I really want to, like, detach and dissociate as much as I can from, like, what was, and, you know, put more of my energy and intent and focus on forward progression, just generally, but also like moving into that fifth density. So I feel like I feel like having certain skills could help you along the way. And I feel like since this is happening to all of us, whether we're cognizant of it or not, I feel like all of the various sources that I watch and listen to and read are talking about this transition that we're going through, and it's physical and non-physical. And so if you've ever had even the slightest bit of like The Shining, for instance, like you were thinking of somebody and you run into them, or they call, or it's the other way around, you call somebody else and they're like, oh, I was just thinking about you, like that right there is the kind of thing I'm talking about, and that can be developed. Or you may have more like me, where you're just kind of like just bip it off, and all of a sudden, like the next day, the thing happens. Thank goodness nothing happened to the guy, honestly, because that I would feel terrible. And that is why I would like to get a handle on, like, ooh, I'm feeling the way that you feel when that thing happens. Like, I want to get a better grip on that. So, I don't know why I'm taking off my jewelry. My show jewelry. I always put a little bit on. But anyway, that is why I was thinking about that. And I always am, like, kind of encouraging it, or I don't know, like, not outwardly encouraging it, but I'm certainly not discouraging it. Like, I think it's amazing and, like, fun and fascinating. So, yeah, that's what that was. And so I have cards now from from the Declarations of Mary Magdalene deck. And the first one reads, our truth is that which dwells in our hearts, not our heads. I'm just thinking about when you feel something in your heart, but it's difficult, like in a situation, like it might involve feeling one way in your heart that you can't bear to show to the rest of the world, because for whatever reasons there's boundaries that you might feel are impassable, or you just don't want to like go there with your tender heart stuff, and that can make us act funny, and in a way that's like the opposite of how you actually feel. Like, you might have an unrequited love for someone or something, and for reasons, whatever those might specifically be, that they are what make that thing that you would really like to get with inaccessible. Like, you just can't do it, can't go there, can't have it. So you might get like the feelings in your heart that you have feelings about, and that you have feelings about those being exposed, could make you angry, on top of not getting the thing that you wanted, but also like you're embarrassed. And so, do I have to spell it out? Like, people lash out in those kinds of situations. Like, you get defensive. And so with unrequited love, there's like a whole host of other emotions underlying. And if you are at all self-aware, like the theoretical person I was describing, then that it's inappropriate for you to do anything more than just quietly accept it with grace. Anything else is not a good look. Okay, so the next card. Oh, I should give you the number. The number on this one is 31. That adds up to a 4 in the numerology. And how does that apply there? I guess in the context of what I was just talking about, the 4 as a foundational, like literal like underflooring to hold up whatever's built upon it. It doesn't have to be a structure, a physical structure. It could be a mental thing. So that's more of what I'm leaning toward in this case. But it basically like says the truth that is which dwells in our hearts, not our heads. So truth I would like to see at the foundation of whatever I'm interacting with. And I think that's like the natural order too. Otherwise you probably wouldn't be talking about it. So truth is major, truth is important, and truth is a foundation you can build upon. So like I described the situation, but that doesn't have to be the only way that can go. I hope I was able to convey that too. Because if you have the feels in your heart, you don't want your head to like rock your emotional structure from the foundation. Like you have the foundation to steady yourself upon. Okay, so the next one reads, you are your own church. You are your own church, for your kingdom is within you. Good card for Sunday, even though because of Mr. Kitty, I didn't get to actually start recording this until after midnight, but so you are your own church. Well, the reason why obviously I was talking about it being Sunday anything is because it mentions church, and that's, you know, like I guess for non-church goers, it's the day typically people identify with church stuff. That's not what this is talking about, though. This is talking about, or it's just letting you know that you don't have to go to a physical church to experience that visitation with Spirit and Christ and what do you call it? When you gather together with the congregation, well, when you congregate, there's a fellowship there, and that does something that, I mean, it's sure talked about a lot, but I wonder how to heart people are taking it, or if they even think about it as more than just like church words, things you don't talk about unless you're talking about church or going to church or at church. Because I know I don't hear fellowship or congregation. Well, I don't know. Fellowship you don't hear. Which makes me think people are not thinking about it. That's why I'm kind of harping on it. But the kingdom, for your kingdom is within you. That is saying that you don't need to look outside of yourself for salvation. All of the church words today. Oh goodness, on a hair. I love my cat. Not really into eating his hair though. Anyway, and now I lost my track. Oh yeah. So I mean, the camaraderie and the congregating and the fellowship, that's all good, but for the spiritual food of the church-going experience, you don't really have to go anywhere. You can look inward, and you will find that once you sort of familiarize yourself with communing with yourself, if you're not familiar already, you will learn that there's a lot going on inside of you, because you just maybe didn't sort of regard it as as like a TARDIS. Do you know a TARDIS? That is the phone booth from Doctor Who. And it is an object that is bigger on the inside than it looks from the outside. And you can take that symbolically or literally, like it does in Doctor Who. But it also would be literal to look inward and find like all of these worlds and all of this unexpected, all of these worlds and all of this unexpected depth. And all you have to do to find your way to all of these like places, these inner spaces, is to do some hard looking at yourself, making some serious admissions, like throwing down the wheat on the floor and separating the wheat from the chaff, like just really going there to the places where you're like, I don't want to go there, I don't want to think about it, I don't want to talk about it, that makes me mad, that makes me sad, that makes me feel shame, like, and it's like memories. Yeah, it's memories. I think just start with, and then I think we're talking about a type of meditation. And so the more you meditate, the more more things open up to you unexpectedly, including adding facility to your mediumship, to like making it easier. And I mean, I think it comes with practice, just like learning how to work your tools. But you have lots of strategies, lots of techniques to work with this particular technology, spiritual technology. And as far as like the fellowship and the comrades and all of that, well, you get to a point where that's not something you need. You're not needy for that, It's great when you have it, when you find it, and you can go to the church. Like, you can go to the church building, but I don't think that's really an appropriate way to say it, but you don't have to be a slave to the church. Now, see, that sounds really bad. And this is number 17 card. If you add that up, it adds up to an 8, which in tarot, and I think just in I guess like numerology and angel numbers, I think they all say, among other things, that an 8 is associated with strength, inner strength of the person, of you and me, you and I. And also, an 8, if you tip it from the vertical to horizontal, represents infinity. So that is also something, a concept that you can come to understand more with spiritual study. But spiritual study and meditation combined can take you on some serious journeys. Like, you don't even really have to get out of your seat, kind of thing, is what I'm talking about. Okay, and so also not finished yet with the last one. Infinity, in also the religious context, or where you're going to run into it is reincarnation, because you come to this life, for example, and you do what we're doing now, and then when you're done, then your time is up and you exit. And so you can just do that, you, me, whoever, everybody, for almost infinity. I think at some point, like, you choose to end or something, but in the meantime, not from here, from this particular perspective, because this is doing something already. We're already in something. So really not even, there's no reason to speculate about the other thing. Right now, it's not a thing until, like I said, your time is up. And so, best to focus on what's going on here and now, actually, here and now, because it's starting to get exciting. Anyway, that's close to infinity, though. Okay, so the next card, number 24, adds up to 6, but I'm not going to go there right now. For thou that seek lust outside their sacred partnership, or thou that have misaligned from thy sacred heart. So normally I would, it says lust, so you are talking about lust, but I still was thinking of something else as I was reading this for the first time. When I pulled it, I've seen it before, but when I was looking at it, I thought, this could refer to cultural relationships, societal relationships, because we have a social contract with one another, aside from like the birth contract, which we have our individual ones, but they're made with other people, one or more other entities. It's got to be more than one, I think, if it's going to cover a lifetime. Even a short one's going to have, anyway, I don't want to get sidetracked there, but we have a contract with each other, and one that we are aware of, I guess, if we choose to be, but it's unspoken and unwritten, but we have a social contract, where we actually obey the laws and abide by whatever rules have to be in a place, because none of us are just in our own place and space. Well, that's wrong. Some of us are in their own place and space, but most of us, even if it's a little bit spread out, you could probably open your window and hear your neighbor sneeze. Like, we're that close to each other, and even that requires a type of agreement to not, like, lose your mind every time the neighbor's dog is barking, or the neighbor kid, or the music from somewhere not at your house is too loud and it's driving you nuts, and it's like, the people too loud should be more considerate, and then you who might be trying to sleep because you have to work, you don't have to, like, get violent and do something crazy, I understand the impulse, but it's better for all of us if we just, like, try not to go too extreme with, like, being neighborly, or objecting to something that the neighbor's doing in a neighborly way, but you don't have to fly off the handle about everything. And that's, as long as everybody agrees that, like, okay, I understand that something seriously got messed up, or I'm conceding to your complaint, and, like, your next step would be, how do we amicably work out a solution? Like, please don't overtax me or expect something crazy of me when you know I don't have any more than you. Like, if you're my next door neighbor, we're probably going to be at about the same economic level, so don't go nuts, like, be reasonable. And the reason for doing that is it makes it easier for everybody. Like, everybody, if we can learn to compromise and be free and happy with it, everyone will get something of what they want, but everyone overall will have what they need. Like, you just, again, you're not by yourself in your own place with no one around to contest anything or to intrude in any way. Most of us do not have that luxury. And so, why are we contributing to the upset and things that we object to and things that are horrifying, and like the way that we react and respond? My God, we only make it worse a lot of times doing that, because I don't know, it's like we're like a wildfire and we get a spark from one of us on the other one, and if it hits their dry grievances, poof, conflagration, we're all on fire. That's no way to live. Like, we've been doing that to each other and worse for, oh my gosh, longer than anybody can remember. And are we done yet? Like, are you not stressed out? Okay, enough social commentary. No, not enough. So, but the other thing is like, we can, like, make this exchange with each other, this transaction, if that'll make our capitalist hearts happy, because we got our ways, that we like to do things and we don't like changes. But sometimes changes are unavoidable. You're just going to have to do it. So, instead of taking this as a romantic statement, I'm going to just go read it again. And I'm going to go ahead and leave the lust in here. But just remember, I'm not talking about romantic stuff this time. For thou that seek lust outside their sacred partnership are those that have misaligned from thy sacred heart. So, we all have a sacred heart, presumably, and when we get out of alignment, it's like being out of tune, like having, like, only getting static while trying to get our radio station, Do you know? Because I don't know how much of that's even still around. But anyway, like, even on a modern radio, if you're not on the station, if you're not at the point where you can tune into, like, the greater broadcast, why am I stopping? If you can't tune into the greater broadcast or greater network, then, obviously you're not reaching, like, everyone that can be reached. Or you're not reaching those people that you're meant to reach. Because not everybody is going to align with what you're saying or thinking. If you've gotten to be a teenager, you know that. Or, even just in elementary school, you've encountered it. Like, I don't know how much it's sunk in, but some kids get stuff early. So, yeah, what my point is that I think that what this is saying is that we're all connected, and we have been, just like I said, fighting with each other and being adversarial to each other since as long as anyone can remember. Like, since before recorded history, I'm sure. And so I think we got it. Like, I'm ready to move on. It's like graduation time. It's that time of year. Let's graduate. let's elevate to the next step. It's just an ask, but if we all start doing it, boy, things will be so much better. Anyway, yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you and good night.